He's gonna coach his buddy. Giving him a job. I like it.
Woo!
That's a good story there.
That team, well, the other members of that team are playing for Vici right now. Well, not all the other members,
Just
but
FY.
FY is, yeah.
He's pulling out the same thing as any Legend Stand King right now. I like.
And Chuan is obviously Chuan's done until after TI, and how maybe possibly
10
for good.
seconds remaining.
Well, that's what he said last time.
Yeah.
But,
Exactly.
we'll know when
5
when the
seconds
spring rolls
remaining.
around next year. There's a chance to go to TI again. We'll see how it gives it the old college try once again. But that's the state of VG right now. So
turn to ban.
we've seen some. Well, LFY. Let's talk about these squads a little bit, right? So LFY, they've got the quote unquote the little boss, as they call him, Inflame as their offlaner, because he is entangled with the LGD boss Ruru.
Ruru, huh? I've heard a bit about that person, Ruru, huh? On the Reddits. I go on Reddits, I hear how about this person. Maybe not so good.
Her nickname, one of her nicknames in China is the Empress. Many
goodness.
stories surround her. I won't go into any of them, but you know,
Radiant
you can
team
find lots of
pick.
stuff.
Who would be the Western Dodo equivalent?
Of the Empress?
Is there one? I guess not really.
No.
I'm trying to
think
run through
so.
some of the
Would it be a
checklist things that someone would
player?
have to be
Would it be-
considered. That I don't think so.
Because there's no powerful like owners in the Western
10
scene. It's much more
seconds remaining.
player-driven than organization-driven.
Yeah, there's no like kind of
5
tycoon
seconds
style, like
remaining.
kind of rags to
Tom?
empire.
Female
type of
Tom or
thing, I
something
guess.
like that?
Reserve
I don't know.
time.
Esports.
It's region. I have no idea.
You gotta hand to them. So with this team, they actually
But they got inflamed. Let's get back to that. They got inflamed, and that dude is, you
Turn
know.
to pick.
they got inflamed. They got as part of their latest reshuffle, they got Afu, who they poached from WGU, who was like considered the heart and soul of that team in a lot of ways. I talked to them about it at Dotac. They're like, yeah, you know, it was devastating to have him go, but it's kind of like, you know, we're glad that you
10
made it to like
seconds
a
remaining.
good like situation, that you landed in like a really nice environment, and like you get a chance to
5
grow and
seconds
develop. So that
remaining.
was a big loss for them. You've seen him play very well on that roaming floor. Really open a lot of things up for them with different heroes as well.
Reserve time.
DDC, he's one of the veterans of the scene. So I think along with Misery, he was like the second to last player to be at every single Valve.
Newbies
I
turn
believe
to pick.
until was it the last one that he wasn't?
Last major, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was either I think it was Kiev, because Boston would have been it, but I think he made it to Boston as a sub because of visa issues. And then Kiev, he wasn't there, so that broke his string of
Radiant
Valve events.
team pick.
He's a veteran of the scene. He's usually more like quiet and reserved, but in this case, like he's taken on more of a leadership role within this team.
Is he captaining? I know he's drafting now, so he's also kind of the captain as well.
Yeah,
That's it.
so that's been kind of a unique thing for them. Monet, the young
10 seconds
superstar,
remaining.
young like 9K player who
5
a lot of potential,
seconds
like both as a
remaining.
mid laner and as a safe lane, which he's been playing. So he's been slowly growing kind of over the year. And Super, very steady
Reserve
mid
time.
player. He's been around for a long time. Those
Yeah.
old VG squads. He's known for like this patch has been good for him because he's known for being stable always. Like he always gets what he needs out of
he's
the lane.
a
Not super
DK
flashy.
Razor player, you
There
know.
you go.
It's just yeah, you're
Potato
gonna
mid.
you'll do it. That's great. Never gonna put the ball between your legs though. That's for sure.
They
You're
call
just,
him the bun in China.
just
they call him the
dribbling
bun.
and running up and down. You know, just doing the job.
Yeah.
Not nothing flashy about
Exactly, his
Super.
Chinese nickname
Super's
is,
never. I don't think Super's ever done like a flashy highlight play. It feels like, you know, the guy never's like rampage by Super sick play.
If
He's
this,
he's
if
just
this is
there.
basketball, he's like the fundamentals player, right? Like he doesn't dribble between the legs.
But not like
He's
not like
a
Kawhi
dog.
Leonard, like not that good. Just do the
Newbies
fundamentals and I
turn
own
to
it.
ban.
But something like I don't know, Stockton maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know,
there you
something like
go.
John Stockton is super probably for anyone sports ball players out there. I do want to roll back a couple of players because I'm always curious why I have you here. What's Afu? What's that name mean? Is it
10
really just
seconds
Afu?
remaining.
Well, Oz just like is something that they
5
have.
seconds remaining.
Like if you'd say Ol or Lil or something, like just a moniker you put in front of somebody,
Reserve
right? It's
time.
kind of like that. So they have that with old, as well as like old chicken and stuff, like
Yeah.
old this or little that.
They love to add stuff like bro and old and L and la and ah. What about foo then? What's foo? Or is it fu really? Ah, fu.
I wish it
Brilliant
was.
team
I
Might
pick.
be. You know?
ah, fu.
think it's just part of his name. I mean, he's not he's not Chinese, so I'm not entirely sure. But
All right.
more
Well,
from Malaysia, I believe.
maybe you know, by the end of this tournament, more people will know
10 seconds remaining.
who Afu is and will care and maybe want an Afu jersey someday. Looks like we're well into a draft now, gentlemen. We've gotten past the
Newbies
boring phase of the
turn to
draft.
ban.
First pick's already underway. Nyx, Assassin, and Warlock going to be the 1-2 punch for Newbee, while LGD get the Precious Sand King and they go right into a Raptor here. So a lot of the supports the foundation of these lineups
10
being
seconds
established early.
remaining.
Yeah.
And then the core's getting all banned out.
I mean,
5 seconds
nothing crazy with the
remaining.
openers. Both
Ban
teams
on-
snagging a good roaming forward position in the
Reserve
Sanking and the
time.
Nyx. And also here is that CAD could, if you decide the draft permits it, be running the off lane. If you really want to grab like a different
Radiant
forward position
team
hero,
ban.
or you feel like the Sanking make it like a really good laning matchup.
There's been some recent small nerfs to a lot of these like dominant forces what we've seen with the
Newbee's
Clockwork,
turn to
Blade Stalker,
pick.
and the Sand King. So we'll have to see how much that affects them in this meta. In some ways, LGD is kind of taking Newbee's pick from them. This is a very reliable 1-2 opening that they've had. And then
Radiant
some
team
LFY
pick.
heroes. Well, these teams are similar in the sense that their drafting may not be the craziest. Like for Newbee, they usually go for these very stable lineups. They won't go for like very high degree of difficulty execution. Generally, it'll be very reliable. That's always been a trademark of theirs.
10
For
seconds
LFY, they've had a
remaining.
couple of kind of signature strategies we've seen through Epicenter and such. Like one of them I've
5
taken to
seconds
calling kind
remaining.
of the bog because it's just the only way I can really describe what it is. Like there's just so much slow with
The
it, whether
bog.
it's like
Reserve
AA,
time.
Death Prophet, which is still a possibility here, and they kind of just become this bogging death ball that just runs at you and you can't fight them. It's very that's literally Omni you see getting banned out from that. The DK is like a super staple mid that they've been using that teams have been banning out like first or second against
Yeah,
them.
so get him Death Prophet now instead or something. Ooh, okay, so
New
the
Arrow.
Chaos Knight
Turn
Kool-Aid
to
is out for sale for sure. Everybody's feeling it.
Nice.
LGD are like, I just saw our sister team pick it, so I'm gonna pick it too. Strat Stealers.
Yeah, maybe they
But
went
that
to
was
them and-
more of like a,
10
what would you say was like a
seconds
direct
remaining.
Lifestealer counter at the time. Why here and now though for LGD?
5
It
seconds
doesn't feel like you
remaining.
needed to be like, oh, I gotta get a CK now.
Yeah, I think it's just proving to be a pretty stable,
Reserve
strong,
time.
improving carry. It's actually quite good against the Void because he time walks away, you just pull him back with a Reality Rift, or you can just force him out of the lane with a Reality Rift to begin with. So I think he's one of the better heroes at dealing with the Void in some ways.
We're seeing a lot more Void core recently, and we see it against heroes like, say, like the Bristle or the Veno, where like you're not really dependent on that sudden burst damage, and then he just like time walks it off. All of a sudden, it becomes very difficult to kill him. So, if you look at LFY against the Void, I mean, they didn't pick necessarily specifically with the Void in mind, but with all the burst, all the
Radiant
silence, all the
team
stun that
pick.
they have, like they are capable of bursting him down, was preventing him from just freely time walking about. So. Especially if they believe that it's a safe lane carry Void, which looks almost
like
certainly to be.
Looks like it will be Jack. A Bat Rider comes out. So unless, you know,
10 seconds
they're going to just
remaining.
suddenly throw it in the mid lane, I would imagine this is going to be a off lane
5 seconds
Bat Rider
remaining.
for Senior KP. And Faceless Void, I imagine.
Reserve time.
Or no, sorry, SC. For... Wait a minute. Mugi, that's right. U9 changed his name. So he definitely wants to be Mugi now? Has that been confirmed? No more U9?
Yeah, apparently there's like an issue with like
Tide
getting
Hunter.
interviews and stuff because sites didn't want to interview him because his name was the...
Newbee's
Website.
turn to
I remember you
ban.
talking about that before. Okay, Mugi it is. Fair enough. I will kindly
Mugi has
oblige.
looked very new and improved since he's changed his name. I have to say, Mugi looks a little bit better than the U9 of that we saw struggle for a little
Did
bit.
he escape the memes by changing his name? Is that what
10
you're saying?
seconds
Could be. He
remaining.
can't flip upside down anymore, right?
They're looking
Okay.
for it though. I'm sure they're like they have like
5
the
seconds
Chinese
remaining.
meme lords on it. They're
No,
like,
you-
Mugi, let me flip
you'd
it
be-
here. I'll
be-
flip it.
Radiant
No, okay.
team
What if I
ban.
stick it inside a cow? Oh, whatever. How about if I rhyme it with the T instead? Tugi? No, that's not good
The,
enough.
the Chinese meme lords had a
Woogie.
really good one for
Woogie.
Sumail that I can't adequately explain because you kind of
Radiant
like,
team
if-
pick.
if Sumail is not performing well, they start taking bits and pieces away from his Chinese nickname, and it becomes like three different words, and they can do that like 3 or 4 times until it becomes like stripped down to like a bare minimum, like the simplest characters. So it's hard for me to explain without
10
getting into
seconds
Chinese stuff.
remaining.
but
Just
it's
way
really
too
good.
advanced for us.
It's kind of similar to how like with Ferrari they used to
5
joke like if
seconds
he
remaining.
wasn't doing well, the wheels were coming off, like he slowly
Oh,
becomes
yeah.
like
Yeah.
a 2-wheel cart or like a rickshaw or something.
The worse he's doing, the crappier the car kind
Yeah.
of thing.
That
It
car's
just
in the
becomes just
shop
only
now.
the wheels are left. Yeah.
Jack, is this the bog? It's looking a bit like
It's a boggy hero. There's a little bit too much stun for it to be fully boggy, but that is in the bog, in the spirit of the bog for sure.
Okay, so the
That is a
Vipers,
superhero
10
through and
seconds
through, though.
remaining.
They tried to
Yeah.
get superheroes off the board. They're like, first DK, gotta go.
5
And then I just like
seconds
casually
the
throw out
Death
Death Prophet for fun. But they're like, no, wait, he's got a point. Death Prophet's also gotta go. And then Super's
Reserve
like, don't
time.
worry, I got one more hero. I can just casually go through the game, not draw any tension to myself with any big plays. I can play a Viper. And then Newbee are like, you know what, we have SC God, so we have a Tinker. We're going to do big plays.
Yeah. The big thing I know, the second I see this Viper pick, I look at LFY's lap, I'm like, they are not mobile. These 3 cores are all pretty, they kind of slowly move around the map. Like the bug style, like I definitely think fits them. Like they have a few more stuns, but it's kind of like this Death Ball type lineup where they can't flash farm particularly well on any of these 3 heroes. They can't gank all too easily. They're going to be very reliant on this DDC Disruptor to actually find them some picks. So Tinker is like the perfect pick to pick against a lineup that can't move around very well, that can't catch you all too easily. So they're going to have to shut down this Tinker early or he could become a big problem.
Yeah, they have a lot of mobile pickoff too to pair with them as well. That's going to be the theme, I think, the Death Ball versus the mobility. Almost a more EG style type of play maybe coming out from Newbee this time. And the bun, as Super's called, getting the potato hero mid.
The boggy ball movement. He still thinks he's on Vici from TI4, really, I guess, if that's the case. Poor guy. But I think the start of every game now, they pause and everyone warms up the chat wheel. I think that's like the new Dota tradition, so
yeah,
we always have to kind of get through that phase, and they never tend to use them. A bit unfortunate. Any other like standouts here as far as yeah, what was that?
Oh, the meat merp. The famous Dota 2 meat merp.
I love all the new little toys and sounds they love to add in this game. Just always keeping it ever so entertaining. Yeah, just like that.
That's one of those sounds that I could hear when I'm like, I could quit Dota like in the next 2-3 years, and I'm gonna be 80 and I could hear that sound and I'll instantly remember it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, that's Dota.
Parker, go back to bed. All right, let's get into it here. What's at stake? Both these teams are a 1-1, so just looking to get another one into the win column. Looking to get yourself at the top of this round robin into the upper bracket.
From Zoe.
Double patience for Joe into this one.
Prepare for battle.
And is Joe still playing Dota?
He had to go on Django was it, or one of the teams?
Yeah, I think he was a sub. I'm not sure if he actually played. He still plays Dota. He still streams it very actively. Just not competitively in that sense, but he still plays quite a bit. Like the Chinese kind of high-level in-house has its own set of like kind of followers and almost paparazzi, if you will, who just look at what happens in these games, who's flaming who's not giving up mid to who, stuff like that. So he's still very much actively involved in those.
It's really not fair because, I mean, us in the West used to have the luxury of, you know, NEL and EE stuff where you can kind of peek in and see, like, what's fresh. I remember, like, peeking in seeing when the Yule's Scepter Shadow Fiend was starting to become a thing, and you're like, oh, okay, what's happening? Then we went into that Star Ladder and it debuted, and we don't get to peep through that anymore. Like, hopefully one day League play will return to the Western scene and we can all enjoy the griminess of the pubs and what these pros do between these big events.
League play is going all right in China. CDEC's had a couple very stable seasons. A lot of Western pros, when they come to China, they want to play in CDEC as long as there's an active season. There's still a good number of players, so that's probably like the best and most active in-house league in the world that's still going.
30 seconds.
Dream League, hello.
Well, like talking about individual player league.
Yeah.
No, not like a team league, you know.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. All right, let's get into the action here. Doesn't look like we're going to be seeing too much action here. No heavy early smoke movement, just some respectful ward play here. Mid-ward, almost carbon copies from each side, it would appear. But now, move in from LFY saying, we want you to claim up the bounty here. So they'll roll the same Tidehunter together, but the stun goes out, it pops up, and it is going to be Afu who picks up the bounty. LFY will take 3 of the 4. But if they have the same luck as EG, that means they lost. So, you know.
Bad news.
Bad news for them.
I'm curious if this Chaos Knight's going to go that same build. That's what I am most interested to see.
Then they're definitely copycatters for sure.
Or maybe it's one of those things where the fact that it happened last game makes me think it may just be a meta thing in China, that's the Chaos Knight build. I did some like Dota buff looking up between games because there was a Chaos Knight pick or two in NA for the qualifiers and they all maxed Chaos Bolt. I was like level 7 max Chaos Bolt. No points in passive, 2 points in Reality Rift. The standard CK build.
Interesting choice from Kaka here. I like this on support Nixus, getting the mana burn first, because whether you're, say, zoning a hero that needs that mana to spam you or stay alive, or you're here in lane against like a hero like Disruptor who's very inefficient level 1 mana usage, on the Thunder Strike, and then if you mana burn him once or twice, he pretty much doesn't have a harass tool anymore. It's an interesting pickup for level 1 Nyx.
Yeah. I kind of, like in this all-playing Nyx that just, kind of just walks down there as a support. The poor man shield means he can just sit here. He has crazy health regen. They can't really bully him out. It's going to be a tough dual lane to deal with. And it frees up the Tinker. It means Tinker doesn't have to worry about those support rotations, because if LFY want to get their Chaos Knight farm, they're going to have to keep at least one, maybe both supports down bottom in order to do so.
Yeah, otherwise the bat just runs him over, especially if he doesn't get Chaos Bolt. He can't stun the back home. He's got the reality.
He's already got
one.
He's already got one. Yes.
We're seeing a different Chaos Knight build.
Or the I don't know, either one. Either way, LGD got a win in that last one, so maybe it's NewBee.
I think he should have gone 1-4-1 at least. Like I don't like the second point in the Chaos Strike. In the third, he didn't get stunned until level 9 or something. But I think maxing Reality Rift is fine. That makes sense.
Monet has got Chinese Eternal Envy potential. This is a very young, good core player, and he is, on all accounts, an anime lover, an anime nerd.
Oh,
of
okay.
Proportions. So.
Oh, wow.
Is there similarities in playstyle, would you say?
Maybe not as much, but I mean, again, a very young player's got some fresh ideas on some stuff, a little bit like E. So there's a sense of that, a little bit.
So he's a weak.
Yeah.
Fu is in trouble potentially in the bottom lane. Makes a long cross-country run from the Newbee side and only gets hit with a couple of sticky stacks. Nothing too serious, no hard commitments, and some pump fakes coming out of that rift.
Nice thing about, I mean, you definitely want Chaos Bolt this lane because you've got Magic Stick, you've got unlimited mana. Like, there's definitely mana problems to justify not getting a stun. Chaos Knight. See if he starts looking to use it. He has got 10 stick charges to play around at this bottom lane. Seems like for now the two teams just kind of eyeing each other off, neither looking to engage down bottom. Similarly up top, Titan's kind of just holding on.
Lots more laning respect being shown here, it looks like.
Yeah.
So.
They've got the triple magic sticks for LFY, so even though they're being mana burned, they're going to have that at least decent amount of sustain to bring the mana back up should they need it for a brawl.
I would be concerned now because as the levels come in for LFY, they have better opportunities like this one. Bottom lane, two-man stun on the follow-up after the rift, but they can't quite get the finish. KP takes to the burning skies and flies over the haters and down through the river.
No 2-second stun. He rolled the dice and
now he's like, I'm never gonna level that stun again.
top lane, meanwhile, Tide is going to be first blood.
Catch that one.
Looks like they just chased him down with some Time Lock, Orb of Venom, and an early Fatal Bonds, actually, no upheaval.
Goodness,
Okay.
Afu, I've seen him snag 3 bounty runes under the nose of Newbee already this game. And now he's walking Kaka home. Take this caustic present.
Oh, he doesn't get the kill.
No, we're not gonna kill it. He's still gonna live on.
Pro Man Shield, good item.
Got that bounty though.
Level 1 caustic damage nerf.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. That was Sanking actually receives some of the biggest nerfs. 45 to 20 damage, level 1. White.
The price you pay when you're the pick of an event or tournament or qualifier. Sorry, Frog doesn't care. You had a good. Oh, you had a good qualifier. All right, well.
Compared to like Nyx, who lost like 5 minutes each. I feel like the Sanking nerf definitely gets a bit harder. 5 movement speed still as a roaming 4 position. Is
Smoke
least
right
noticeable.
behind, but they've already crossed paths with Afu here. Not the target they were hoping to get a hold of, but they're going to commit forward anyways. They're going to fly over him, but he does burrow to the high ground and will try to make a hasty retreat. Maybe with a couple more stacks they could have burned through with some extra magic damage potential, but it looks like Afu was at least doing good in tanking the gank.
Nice escape there from Afu. And another word on Monet, his name in Chinese, another meme is, well, Monai in Chinese means basically to cop a feel.
Oh goodness.
So he's like, I guess
He's a
you'd call him-
pervert?
Jeez.
Radiant's top
Well,
tower is under attack.
Well, not that he is, but that's just the
People
phonetic
touch him?
for his name. For his name.
Is he touching people
So
or is
it's
people
Monet,
touching him
it's
there, Jack?
Monai, that's
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So he's the
Copperfield.
the groper?
No word on whether he himself is the groper. His
Oh,
name, you know.
just happens to have a name that is...
It can't be misinterpreted as the groper.
That sounds like the level of English nicknames from Twitch chat. You know, that one's not very good. I'm not a fan of that one, Jack. That sounds like the no brain kind of nicknames that we come up with for like No Tail or the Souffale. You know, it's like, come on, like that's not very clever. Those are the low hanging fruit of nicknames.
That's true. That's true. I just tell it like it is.
No,
I don't come up with them.
That's fine, that's fine. I just picture like some Chinese English analyst like on a Chinese desk being like, oh, yeah, this is the wonderful curated Twitch nickname we come up for Johan. Yeah. And I'm just like, I hope the Chinese community does not see this, you know?
I don't think the Chinese meme overlords came up with that one, probably. Yeah. That was probably some lower meme squire. It was like, nah, he's a groper.
I love the voices you give to the different levels of music. That's,
it's
I want like a full like 4-tier voice.
Various neckbeard voices I come up with. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Pugna. Yeah, various neckbeard voices that bring me joy. 2-0, very very calm, early methodical kind of game here. LFY had a bit of an awkward laning phase at the start with the approach of Newbee here at the bottom, but obviously things have tipped better in their favor. The levels have come together, and now it's kind of a bit awkward for some of Newbee's supports. I don't know. What do you think? Like Kaka on this Nyx assassin, so, you're walking around, you're mana leaking people, but how long are you doing this for?
Get some kill. Oh, misses Stone DDC.
Maybe win
they
for
pay the prize.
Monet, though, steps in, tries to grope some heroes here, gets the pullback onto the bat. KP, though, is going to be fine. Even with a Thunderstrike, he's still flying on forward. And here comes Mugi. Just as he time walks in, he's going to get glimpsed right back out. And Afu still under the gun, 4 stacks, and the right click will be there. And KP, who they were trying to jump the bones of, is going to be the one walking away with the kill here.
There are so many magic sick charges flying around everywhere with all the fighting and spell spam going on. And Newbee do get themselves another kill. They come out slightly on top.
Nice rotations from LFY so far. It's usually Newbee that like usually gets numbers these kind of fights. But LFY has done a pretty good job of matching them. Like you'll see, like they have no qualms about just leaving a lane empty or just really bringing the cavalry to any of these fights. Newbee are so good at doing that usually. So
mid left kill Science found Kaka.
Not with that stun. Kaka goes 15 out. Will hit him with enough damage. Yes, it will. Super steps over and simply right clicks him down.
Mid lane Viper Strike on Tinker.
Uh-oh, big action from Super. These are the flashy plays we come to know from Super. My God, big skill from Viper there. Gets the takedown. Top lane.
I'm gonna give him some credit. That was a sick play.
Stun and a Ravage, all for KP.
That was actually a sick play from Super. He saw the Tinker was just short mana for laser. If he has a laser there, he turns, kills the Viper. Viper can't do that against laser, but Tinker was like 3 mana short of laser, and I'm like 99% sure Super saw that. I'm a fan of that flow. I mean, he didn't do it. He just used his spells, but that's
you're giving him the credit that he looked at the mana, quickly calculated in that instance.
I mean, I think a lot of players may not know the exact mana cost of level 3 laser.
We'll accept that. Does he? I don't know if he plays tank. Well, regardless, though, a couple of kills going the way of LFY, and suddenly we're back even. But suddenly, Newbee committing it with a chrono in the top lane. They get the takedown of Afu. Kills go back their direction.
He going for a pretty early game fighting build for now. The treads into Mask of Madness. So.
Mask of Madness?
Mixed feelings on the Mask of Madness.
We saw it earlier today, or, the other crew were casting a game with a Faceless Void Mask of Madness, and it was not very pretty in that game.
I mean, I saw that wasn't S4 on it, because he played the offlane Void. Or was that the game
there was one where it was used as a safe laner against Meepo. I think the OG with it.
LGD.
Yeah.
Oh, they did do
it.
It's interesting. It's almost like come like full circle, right? Like you used to see that build on Void all the time. You'd have like the Maelstrom or Mask of Madness, you'd get solo kills. And it was nice to
it's just tough because like what they were saying is just like now he can spam out some spells, and is the value of the silence there when you're would love to get some time dilations and potential time walks out.
Yeah, I mean you use it like you time walk in, you time dilate, then you instantly Mask of Madness, or you pop it in a chrono, of course.
Looks like they have got the jump onto Kaka here. The support just kind of crossing his way back under the tower, but do they have enough firepower? They'll have to use the glimpse back. The Carapace slows him down. But finally, they will get their man.
And help them out as well. Bottom lane, meanwhile, solo kill. Monet Maybe having some crits or something there. Reality Rift, he's maxed it out. This level 4 Reality Rift is actually... It scales so much better than the stun does. -7 armor, 6-second cooldown. This... I'm actually so convinced this is the spell to max level 7 from what we've seen.
Yeah, when you get level 4 of that skill, you can actually stack the armor reduction, as you mentioned.
Super is
Cooldown
trying
short
to
enough to do
sidestep
that.
the stuns. They commit him with the rock. He ends up eating the damage. But he's, yeah, shrugging off the damage. Decides to even turn it back around as Moogie's jumping in. And that's a rock committed and no kills at all for Newbee.
Yep. LFY have got Ravage back up if they want to get Tide involved now as well. They may just want to, yeah, shrine up with the Viper, the Chaos Knight. They've got this armlet, so they're very strong and scary right now, and this is definitely a timing for LFY to try and fight. The only thing they're missing really is DDC's Disruptor ultimate. He's just got his tome though, and there we go, he hits level 6. Everything they need comes kind of online at the same time, and they can force some towers and at least force some fights here with the Warlock ultimate down. This is definitely the time to go in my mind.
Just checking in on our boy SC here and his Tinker. It's still going to be a little bit before we even get to see his ruby red shoes come out. So it's a bit of a stall period for this Tinker, because even after you pick that up, you still have to even get the Blink Dagger before you can like securely move through those side lanes. But I guess the big threat on the LFY side would be the Disruptor and the Sand King once he finishes this Blink Dagger.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
See the Chaos Knight move back towards bottom lane, find the Bat Rider again. Hello.
So he found him, pulls him with that Rift. There's the stun. How many shots? It would take 4. He gets the glimpse, and DDC KS. No, he helps set it up and get the finish.
Really nice thing about this crit is that you do lifesteal off of it, so even though maybe it doesn't scale incredibly well, it's more damage, which means more lifesteal, and with the armlet taking away your HP, it's nice to have a way to regen it back up.
And the Echo Saber as well. Oh, Warlock. Just unfortunately the wrong place at the wrong time. Walks right up into the high ground thinking it's safe, but Super and Afu are both there waiting for him.
Patience from LFY just setting up on that cliff, waiting to see who comes sauntering through, and it is indeed the Morb.
Poor little guy.
More of it.
Doesn't even have a rock, so LFY can just continue fighting.
Oh, again bottom. They're running on KP. Oh, he is chain feed.
Oh my goodness, as he returns, he tries to dish out the lasso, but it's going to be way too late. We're back at the top lane now because we got an inflamed Tidehunter now trapped between 3. They're going to even commit the Chrono to try to burst him down. He still has that mech, but they got enough firepower that take out the Watermelon Man.
Maybe okay with Chrono down. You just respawn, TP bottom with your team. You can take a tier 2 even, theoretically. Although Tinker may be a little tricky to push into.
We do have DDC's ult, Stack Storm, also up and ready to go here.
Love to find a glimpse target. Not sure whether that'll present itself.
Dire's bottom
Got
tower
that bounty
has
rune
fallen.
and an Invis rune going to be picked up by Afu. Or Sand King. So we'll see. They might get a setup on the mid lane. I also heard the Vendetta go out. So let's see. KP, current chain feeder, unfortunately still feeding here. Looks like possibly mid lane. Oh, he is dead for sure.
It's 1 and 5, and that was 3 deaths in like the last 2 minutes. Right upon it. It's so bad. He's probably looking at this like he spent the last like 70, like of the last 2 minutes, he spent more than half of it dead.
He's 1800, so how close has he been to this Blink Dagger?
Every time he respawns,
Oh man.
finds a lane where he's like, oh, I'll finish it, and then he gets ganked. He's not progressing.
Yeah, I might just settle in or go for a jungle camp or 2 at this point to run
Yeah.
up and get that Blink Dagger.
It's hard because you've got other teammates farming. Like if someone like a Void can apply pressure somewhere on the map, you can get that free to farm. But with Chrono down, Void's also just farming. Tinker mostly just wants to farm as well. SCC doesn't have a blink. Isn't really. I mean, he's not going to be leading fights anyways. It really is just the Nyx and the Void who can kind of be the front runners as far as starting fights off and roaming around. And
Yeah,
Void doesn't want to roam.
They want to be the ones getting pickoffs, right? Especially if you Nyx Bat, and they don't necessarily want these big organized 5-on-5s with LFY. They're obviously going to have the Tinker to like hold objectives and high ground for as long as possible before the LFY deathball gets to them.
Definitely the good news is that this Tinker is not very farmed. I feel like that was the one hero they're going to struggle to deal with this game, but they have managed to pressure his lane to a decent extent.
Yeah, he needs a couple more items before he becomes that kind of a problem. And is this the kind of a Tinker game with all these illusions and such, going for the Ags and just hoping to laser back like CK?
Yeah, it's going to be a great counter to the CK and his illusions and his ability to fight. He's going to have to just rely on like a BKB.
Yeah.
And then even then his illusions won't do a whole lot. But his hero is still, we saw last game,
Yeah.
a BKB CK can still go off.
That is for sure. LFY now rummaging on through of smoked. Got a nice deep ward down, making the hard cut.
Thought they were going to catch KP
lane
there, but yeah, they managed to just barely, narrowly miss him.
Thankfully for KP, it looks like he will finally finish that Blink Dagger.
Dire's middle tower
Kaka,
is
however,
under attack.
close to potential trouble here. This mid lane, tier 2 is under heavy assault from LFY, and it could be quick to spring into action if not careful, but it looks like Newbee are starting to bring over some rotations now, as the tier 2 is under a bit of pressure. SC is trying to creep a bit closer with some marches, trying to push it back a bit. Meanwhile, bottom lane, it is going to be Moogie finishing out the tower. Afu has already rotated over, but this Faceless Blood should make it away with the extra money, no problem, and he is hoping to pull it all together into a Maelstrom next.
This is a LFY lead, but I think they're going to... I mean, they can take these outer objectives, but they're going to really struggle at breaking high ground against Tinker. Newbee have this great pick-off potential. The Void, Tinker is kind of like the Void Invoker. He can just go around, find a chrono by himself, Tinker TP's in, finishes off the kill. So they've got this really easy to execute lineup as far as finding those kills go. So I think LFY do need to continue to press their advantage and try and find picks. Like, Tide getting a Blink Dagger is going to be key. The lack of catch is going to be the biggest issue for them.
Ooh, Kaka just popped out from an invis, goes into Vendetta. They try to drop a sentry. They will see the ward. Kaka has already distanced himself from potential trouble. Newbee don't really get a lot with their movement in, but they have forced LFY to pretty much have all hands on deck into the bottom half of that map. So they're stalling things out a bit. Newbee, you think the game scales on, it just gets better for him in the late game, or do you think the CK could still just be the true late gamer here?
I think it gets better for them. Between Fatal Bonds and Tinker, between their ability to, I think, just be more efficient at this point, to split farm a little bit, get more off the map in different lanes, whereas LFY are kind of encouraged to death ball, so if anything, they'll death ball to Roshan probably very soon, and then after that, maybe try to make a move on the background. But you know, obviously, like, the blink is going to come sooner or later from KP. That's going to make it a little bit harder to park the fight in front and hit objectives with the team standing behind him, just because you have that kidnap. So, I'm not sure if Newbee will contest this. Maybe they use this opportunity to push the lanes out and try to get some more vision. But if they don't contest this, I would expect LFY to give it a very shortly afterwards.
LFY, slow and steady. They take Roshan as Kaka a little bit too late. He's even headed that direction.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Courier though. Can he get it? Nah. Doesn't go the other direction though. Can he catch it off? Come on, boy, get it! Yeah. Makes you feel a little bit better.
Just go for the TP. Ward TP potentially.
Yeah, no items.
Uh-oh.
Hi. Oh, now you're not going anywhere. Do you see what lives ya?
No, he knows there's a ward up there, I'm pretty sure too.
And he catch out Kaka. Kaka is going for the TP. DDC doesn't see him actually. Nyx makes his narrow escape.
Nice little juke, but perhaps losing his ward will mean it's not really... His journey there, it doesn't really achieve it.
Hey, he got that courier.
That's true. Oh yeah, the courier actually.
Courier makes it. Oh, down below, KP trying to TP out. Oh, he is back home, but is he gonna stay alive? Oh, the fountain is blessing him with lots of regen there. Did he have to get anything else to help that one? No, but whew, super. Had mercy.
This Viper goes next. Gonna finish off his Hurricane Pike. I do feel like Viper as a core scales late game a lot better than he used to with the introduction of talents. He's got some pretty nice late game oriented ones, health, agi, attack range, and then you get this plus 20 armor. You kind of combine all those things together, you're actually looking at a much more potent Viper in the late game.
As long as he doesn't get hit by a Liz.
Yeah, he'll MKB or BKB at some point, even a Manta style. He'll definitely get an item to deal with the Tinker.
Outside of that, then he's good.
Definitely looking like a very passive game from the Newbee side. They do not really want to team fight.
Just the lonesome little warlock who happened to be crossing the street.
He spent his money. He got his Midas, which he's probably like, man, he can use my Midas, but at the same time, at least support your Midas.
Yeah.
So it'll be at Newbee definitely just want to play for the late game. Don't really care about kills. They just want to stall this game out as much as possible.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And Monet is eating a lot of damage here from the March. Has to be a bit careful here as they try to chunk their way through that tier 2. A trade is possibly in order here from Newbee, as they have their own pressure coming in through the bottom lane. Boogie has that Maelstrom, as you can see, flexing it about. Looking to go straight for the Mjolnir. Closer to the Hyperstone pickup, it would appear. The rest of LFY, who are hanging around the mid lane, are now making their own rotation down to the bottom side. They're sending in Inflame first, along with Super. I don't know, maybe if they had the opportunity to catch a straggler, they could Ravage, but Newbee are not looking to fight right now.
It's so hard to catch. They've got the Sand King Blink at least, that makes life a little bit easier, but Newbee are just going and splitting wherever LFY are not. Sand King starting to disrupt your ultimate. They may catch Newbee here.
They need a bit of vision. Stack Storm is going to be dropped, so they can't time walk his way out from this. They're going to commit the rock in. It hits the 3 of them with a good Fatal Bond, but if there's nothing else, then you just, well, committed your rock and Fatal Bond for nothing. And the rock goes down just like that.
Well, it might save him. Saves him, it's definitely worth it there. He may even turn it around with a Time Walk into Chrono, but that is tough for Newbee.
KP is flying nearby, narrowly avoids trouble again. He's got his Blink Dagger, but there was no Blink Dagger debut moment for Batrider in this game. That window seemed to be totally gone, and this is the moment of the what? The bog? Is that what you said? The bogs? The bog?
The bog fast approaches, man. When
the
you
bog.
start losing those towers that once juicy farmland that you possess is just crept on by the bog.
The big bog is here. And it's creeping
Especially
through your game.
with Warlock ult down. I mean, I feel like they really have an opportunity here to close things off, get up that super aggressive map vision at the very least, maybe finish off this tier 2, maybe make a high ground attempt as well. Here's the thing with CK, like you don't really see him used this way, but if it really comes down to it, you can generate illusions to kind of just run them at buildings. They do a lot of damage. They're very durable, and then you can just back off. If they can't force you into a fight afterwards.
That won't work so well with the Tinker Ags coming up, but
yeah,
definitely a way to kind of slow roll this game. I think LFY are going to maybe recognize that breaking high ground is a whole nother beast, taking these outer towers. They can definitely just take an approach where it's like, well, we can't push high ground, let's just cover the outside of your base with wards so you can't leave your base, and then we have access to farm in your jungle, our jungle, all 3 lanes. Newbee will only get whatever farm arrives at the Dire base. Not quite the case just yet. Newbee have managed to kind of venture around this bottom lane. They're actually going in kind of an aggressive maneuver themselves. Once they pop that Midas Pro.
SC is also just so close to finishing out this Ags. I feel like once this Ags is done, the fights do get a lot harder for LFY.
Yeah,
especially when they don't have the BKB done quite yet.
He just got it.
Oh, he just got it.
Second.
Okay. Viper, nothing, no defensive measures for that, and he's not even picking one up unless he's going for a Manta, which could be the case.
Had a heart queued up for a small little while on Chaos Knight, but it seems he quickly realized, like, wait a second, there's a Tinker. You gotta get this beacon. Viper, yeah, Yasha could see a Manta there to deal with the laser. May not even buy the Yasha. We'll see if he actually commits to that or not.
Smoke from LFY mid lane is Kaka, and they will go for it. Blink Burrow setup onto the Nyx. He's just the lone straggler support, tanking the gank, it looks like, for Newbee's side in the mid lane. And then LFY will just roll on through Newbee's turf and see what's happening. Maybe see if they can get a DDC glimpse pick off or something. Trying to roll right on through, but looks like SC and company are going to be avoiding the trouble there, and they'll just go in for the tier 2 instead. The bog, it continues to move and shift.
Feels like a much slower paced game than what we normally expect to see out of Newbee. I feel like this is, I mean, they're still like in a position where this game's still quite close, but this doesn't really feel like Newbee in their strongest form right now.
Yeah, like they're kind of a methodical team, but they're methodical at like it's kind of like clockwork when they find kills, right? It's like, oh, cooldown's up, find a kill. Cooldown's up, find a kill. In this case, it's not. It's a little bit listless, because again, they're not really about this kind of like split push game. It's not, you know, they struggle on a patch that really favored this. It's not really their playstyle
Radiant's middle
as a team,
tower
and
has
so
fallen.
it becomes very technical for them at this point. Like, who can safely push where without dying? Who do we send to these different lanes? You know, where do we contest vision so they don't instantly see where we're going or find a gank? It's not really up Newbee's alley.
Trying to make something happen here. It looks like they might have gotten a grab onto Super. It's going to take a lot of firepower, though. He's got the hood
Rainbow
and a
TP's coming
Hurricane
in.
Pike. They're doing what they can, but here come all the TPs towards the shrine. They're committing the Chrono on top of it. Here comes the Epi combo flying out from Afu onto the backside. Lots of serious damage. Newbee frantically trying to make their escape. They will lose 2 for their troubles. KP could be next.
Oh, he's trying to backpack trick his blink dagger so he can blink out.
2, 1. No, not gonna get it.
He had like a millisecond where he used it. Very tricky to do.
That is it. There she blows. Done like that. Hard commitments in to go for the finish. It's a lot to be able to get the Viper down, and it costs him a lot with the shrine still there. There's just good access points for LFY to respond.
And importantly, the Viper was incredibly tanky and hard to bring down when they went on him. They had to use everything to get that kill. Void, let's say BKB likely going to be the solution to what happened there. He needs a way to not get demolished by that Disruptor ultimate.
No rock was committed in that fight either. They still get to hold on to that.
Yeah, I don't think Faith was there. It was like, it's one of those really deep moves. You don't expect your Warlock to be at that top tier 2 tower. It was like just a 3-man expedition or 2-man expedition, like with the Tinker TPing in. Warlock was kind of on base defense duty.
Still hanging around from that previous fight. Spotted out now, heads back home.
His item selection, I mean, Voids as well. Like, they're not going for any blink daggers on Nyx or Void. They don't care about pickoffs. They don't care about taking team fights and having good initiation. They have got the bat. He, of course, will go for the blink dagger, but very much they're just thinking late game. Aghanim's Nyx queued up. Void going straight into the BKB. These heroes are not looking at any kind of short-term items. They're playing for the long term.
So it's on LFY to put the pedal to the metal here.
Yep.
See if they do it though. They
MKB Chaos Snipe. Yo.
Oh.
After relying on the BKB against Laser.
Stupid Laser. Yeah. It's probably for the better. They have late game preparations in order just in case there's a lot of extra tools on the side of Newbee here. And seeing Super, does he have a Yasha? Is he going Sage and Yasha? Wait, what's flying out? I thought he would queued up that Yasha. What's he
Changed
got?
his mind for BKB.
The good old Bickup. Laser.
Standard. Viper. Items. Nasty stuff. They're rolling. Bog's moving through the top jungle.
Look at this. Blah, bogging around right now. They're like, we would love to take a tier 3 and take these shrines if we could. Uh-oh, I see the mid lane. Quickly blinks back. Afu now has a blink and a force staff, so a little bit of extra gap coverage. But LFY, patient, moving around, do not see the openings they like. And little do they know, actually they need to wait one more second. There's the Roche. Go in the pit, nothing's there. Walk out and Roche destroyed you.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Likely get it uncontested, I feel like, regardless of when it respawns, but yeah. I don't know, the sooner the better isn't really the case. I think they're kind of in a position where this game will have to be slow played by them. Maybe I would have liked to see LFY to pick up like Midas even somewhere, I don't know, like support Midas this game would have been super value. I guess Disruptor has 2-4 for it. Tide could have perhaps gone for Midas this game. It just feels like one of those games where you got to recognize that Newbee are going to delay the hell out of it, avoid fights, defend high ground. That's like the dream Midas game for an offlaner or support. Even a Viper, like, I don't know. My inner greed just says they should have bought some Midases.
Yeah, when you know that you'll have time to eventually play off and stuff. But yeah, LFY may want to consider going high ground to get here. They have the Aegis, of course, but also the Blink and the Pipe up on the Tidehunter, which can nullify a lot of the damage output coming out from Newbee. That's one thing we haven't really talked about, but kind of certain ubiquity of the damage output coming out. Sure, it's all magic for Newbee. going to be a real issue once they have, say, we're talking about the BKBs, the Lincolns, obviously the Pipe in this case, with all the extra life even. And the Viper's going to make it very scary when they have to deal with the lanes right now together.
Bounty! Whether or not they go for that Roshan you mentioned, I haven't built it off just yet, but they are in position to do so this top lane. Tied with a few minor problems, but has the Greaves, even a shrine nearby if he really needs it. Actually, that was used to hold that for now, but...
Alright, phase 2 of the bog is about to be underway, I would feel. I mean, Aegis is now going to be for the taking. The BKBs are now there for Super.
Yep.
And you probably will not go all in for the MKB yet if you're the CK, but I mean, come on. Aegis, BKB on Viper.
But they just don't buy it.
It's go time.
Yeah. They're gonna get to a point where they just have more items. I mean, this is the not so thrilling way of playing Dota when you're ahead, you have map control, but you can't really push high ground, and your opponents have the lineup where you can't pick them off. You just slowly get further and further ahead. They had like a 5k gold lead 15 minutes ago. It's now a 10, 11k gold lead.
Nice.
Get.
Wait, what?
Okay. Did he?
You stunned right through him. You didn't even see him.
Tide's Blink was still on cooldown. Not sure if he actually got vision with that or not.
It's awkward, but
Should have given a visual cue that he actually hit him.
the bog misses that one.
But I mean, this is the annoying thing in this game for LFY is their lineup's not amazing at picking off heroes and finding them at this point, and Void, Bat, Tinker all very hard to catch because they've got escape spells, blink daggers. But they know they can't catch them. They'll bog their way to victory.
Yeah, that's the thing is like if they don't get a pick off, I don't know how the hell they're gonna bog themselves inside the base.
I mean, this is one of those strategic games where they're playing like a game of chess where they're up by like 2 pawns and they know they're not really that far ahead, but they are ahead. So if they just keep trading pawns, eventually, you know, they'll be in a position where they're in a bigger lead and can just somehow get a victory out of that.
After 186 move,
yeah,
I will have my first check.
Yep, exactly. You know, it's like you take out all those pawns one by one, and then your pawns can then cross the other side, and then you get your queens back, and you're just, you know, you've got this small lead, and you can turn it into a bigger lead. You just don't want to go for any risky plays.
Meanwhile, in Dota, they're like, here is my priest. Let's move that in. Here's my bishop.
That's a perfect example. Actually, it's kind of like there's a 2-pawn lead in a chess game. It's pretty big, but it's not like an immediate win type of thing, right?
Yeah. This is like
surely play it through until you've simplified things, and then the pawns become queens. So that's kind of what you're maybe.
At least in like the amateur chess, I think the professional level chess is very different. But you know, from my experience playing like low level chess, it's like you don't know the moves that will end the game, so you take those free pawns one by one. You find the least defended pawn, you kill it without losing any pieces, and gradually you know you're gonna win. It's kind of what LFY are doing here, and it's gonna be up to Newbee to make a big play with their queen or one of their rooks or bishops. Well, it's normally actually the knights. The knights are the big playmakers. They kind of dig themselves deep on the map. I feel like KP is the knight this game. He's gotta make some big plays, find some key pickoffs for them. Similarly, Mugi on the Void has a lot of kill potential. Also, this may be the GPM game for the Void. We talk about those GPM talents as far as when you want to get them. This may be the time with it. Playing for the long haul. Don't really feel like 300 health is going to be a difference maker when you're just sitting on your high ground. It's going to come down much more to initiation.
All right, we have everyone with the exception of this Tidehunter at the pushing point here for LFY. So I don't think that means they're going to be committing in for a push unless he's on expedition to try to find Tinker split push nearby. But a good thing that they've been doing, they've been using Kaka a lot as this like scout. They put him in the lane first, he looks around a bit, and then I guess SC knows it's safe to go there and keep the lane pressure out.
They protected him with some nice wards. They've got the anti-Tinker ward as a let's protect Tinker ward.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I like that, because usually you see teams put that out there, you see them in the woods, and you manage to pick them off. Newbee are ready for it. They're like, hey, you know what? We know you're going to pop that ward down. Let's make sure we see it when you do. And give our Tinker that much more breathing room as this game trudges slowly onwards.
Nyx has been scouted. Should die here, though.
Yeah, good time to scout.
you're
Wow.
ravaging for a support Nyx, that's when you know the game is slowed down. They're not actually going to go high ground with the Sages. Sorry to be a spoil sport to you guys,
Yeah,
to Jack,
but-
as well as viewers out there. This game's we're probably going 50-60.
Newbee's like, whoa, they did the Ravage. Let's go.
That's the thing, you've got this Aegis, so even with Ravage down, you're not too scared of a fight because Aegis CK, boss. It's gonna get to a point where they're gonna need 6-slotted Viper, Chaos Knight. They're gonna want some of these level 25 talents in the late game as well. CKs this game are not. I mean, the cooldown reduction I feel like is gonna be the way to go. Although they're up maybe a BKB Void to deal with, but his 25 is not as scary as like the, let's say, the Vipers. He gets plus 20 armor is pretty good.
Not plus 80 Viper Strike DPS.
We're seeing all these like supports get farmed now. Disruptor Ags, Nyx farming his straight Ags. I mean, that's a sign of a game where not much is happening. If support Nyx rushes an Ag Scepter.
Just gonna come together for the big one and done special. It could.
Yeah,
Could
this is
come to that.
this is a one team
More
fight
so
kind of
for
game.
LFY. For LFY side, most certainly.
It's been caught.
Oh, move in. There's the rock, but the chrono coming up from Moogie. He moves right for the Ruptor, and he should be able to get him out. BKB's now getting popped. There's going to be the move in burrow play. They still able to get the trap in onto Super. They're trying to beat him down, but the rest of their team is getting pushed on back. LFY trying to take it to the doorstep now. Kaka pops his Carapace, is able to waddle himself back indoors. SC has been taken down, but LFY lose 2 for the trouble. Both their supports, but the cores, trifecta, are going to move inside the base and go to work.
You don't have Tinker for the CK ult. That's troubling.
Yeah, they're going to
Trade your
get
support,
reward.
but that was definitely the core that they wanted to kill, so that worked out.
Ooh, slide on in. They're trying to get the burrowed Nyx. Kaka is out. 50 seconds, no buyback. bo1 looking to go for the finish onto KP. They pull him back into action. They didn't even need a Ravage for it.
In hindsight, this Tinker should just pull back. You know, I was kind of looking at this like, oh, maybe they can defend with Nyx Axe, and I was of the same mentality as Newbee, where it's like, oh, we probably don't need to buy back this Tinker, but oh yeah, they did. The second that CK ulted, they probably should just pull back the Tinker, help clear the illusions with him, because their building's just melted. But it's the kind of game where we're looking at where it's like this game just gets opened up by a Tinker pick. Tinker is the key hero. If you can never catch Tinker, this game will drag out indefinitely, but as soon as the Tinker gets caught and picked off, high ground we go.
They did it all without that Ravage either, too. They just got a good lead into that mid lane, chased him down.
Sanking Burrow Strike, and Tinker just kind of caught out of position.
Threat initiator.
And the Warlock ulti, the Void Chrono, that's not Newbee really wanting to fight, it's they have to. Like, if Tinker gets caught, they just have to go and use their ultis and try and save him.
Radiant's top tower
Like,
is
Warlock
under
using
attack.
Rock just to save Tinker and kill nothing is definitely worth it. Even
looked
using a Chrono to save Tinker is worth it.
And it looked like the connections were all pretty good, but,
Yeah.
you know, LFY are just too boggy, man. You got hoods, you got pipes, you got mechs, greaves.
It's pretty nasty.
They're just shrugging it all off.
And you can't run from the bog. You've got Glimpse. That was what actually Tinker got pulled back into the Chrono because right as the Warlock and Void initiated, DDC got off a clutch Glimpse. If not for that, he actually does survive. So.
Once you set foot in the bog, you're not just going to saunter away. That's for sure.
Maybe you're trying though. Frantically, your Tinker heads to those side lanes to alleviate the pressure as best as he can, but LFY were able to get a lot of damage done in that mid lane, and that means that these shrines can now be gobbled up, so they get one of them down.
One lane of Rex doesn't really win you the game, but again, they've taken now not just some pawns, they've taken a couple rooks, they're getting a bit closer. It's much more about the gold increase than the actual. They're going in here mid lane, double Ravage.
See, they get pulled back. That's a chaotic offering, not going to be in the game anymore for 75 seconds. He doesn't have a buyback. Oh goodness, you're talking about a big artillery weapon that Newbee are not going to be having anymore on their defense. And this could be Raxus. Now that's going to be the game. Now there's going to be the Ravage coming out from Inflame, finds good connection. Boogie moving in with the Chronosphere, and he's trying to swat at the Chaos Knight, but guys, I don't think he's taking too much damage there. He's actually shrugging it off, and suddenly it's the Faceless Void who gets blasted down. KP moves in, trying to get the finish of Monet, but is not going to be able to do so. Your Ravage number 2 is also going to be coming out, and it's an ultra kill for Monet. He gropes his way into a win on the back of an ultra kill. 26-8. This one is just all LFY. The bog. The bog! It's like an old science sci-fi film. The bog comes. Not
Exactly,
a very,
one of those late night like sci-fi channel
Yeah.
movies. It's just some
not
like,
exciting, but it's just
weird,
kind of like,
weird,
yeah.
janky stuff going on.
You
but
see
it's
it and you're like,
yeah.
couldn't you have just walked away from the bog? No, it's.
Oh yeah, there's like a simple counter that the third person outside, but the people in the